Hello, I'm Brian Gribbin, and this is my show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's your host Brian, and welcome back to another episode of the McGribbs Show. I am still a little under the weather, unfortunately, so this will just be another nice little episode. And I'm not going to give you guys any news. I'm going to say that for next year when I start doing my Q&A episodes all again. So for this one, just going to do some nice little shout-outs and share some two solos from two good friends of mine. Then we'll close it out with a nice little segment for next week's podcast episode featuring Gaz Graham. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into the shoutouts. Alright, the first one on the list is Author Drummer 76. This is one I stumbled across recently, and looks like he does strictly drum covers using a nice little ambient background. I was trying to look for the word, but looks like he does some covers with Jimmy Buffett, Coldplay, Kelly Clarkson. Looks like he kind of jumps around the genres, but kind of more in the pop, hip-hop, maybe those kind of genres. But it looks like he's got a nice channel, so let's go over and show some support. For the next two musicians, I actually found out about these guys from a drum collaboration that Stamatis Kikes, aka SK Drumming, did on his Iron Maiden Flight of Icarus collaboration. And the first one is Frankie 57 Bass. And this one and then the next one I'm going to mention are both guys from Greece. And Frankie here does bass covers. Looks like he jumps around between bands like Gong, Bobby Blue Bland, I'm assuming he's a band, but whatever. Crossroads from John Mayer. Looks like he does a variety of different genres. So let's go over and show some support to our fellow bass brother. And the last one on the list is James, and I'm hoping I pronounced the last name right, Demirelis. And this is the guitar player of the group. He was also in Stamatis Kikes' collaboration for Iron Maiden's Flight of Icarus. It looks like he did all the guitar work for it, and he did an excellent job. It looks like his channel does a little bit of journal sort of works. Looks like he kind of covers things he does in his life as well as guitar covers. But he's an exceptional guitar player, so let's go over and show some support. And that does it for the shoutouts. I did 3 this week. I had a little trouble trying to find a vocalist, but you know what? Let's make it interesting. This one's going to be like a Joe Satriani sort of band. So if these guys were to form a band, what do you think their name should be? Let me know in the comments below, and I hope to see your answers soon. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. So like I said before, we're now just going to jump into 2 solos from good friends of mine. Then we're just going to close out with the first 5 minutes of next week's podcast episode featuring Gaz Graham. If you guys like this episode, make sure you leave a like and a comment below, and consider subscribing so you can show your support, not only to me, but for the musicians who come on here as well. If you guys want to share your story, or if you want to share any material you guys got, just hit me up on the socials, and then we'll work something out and go from there. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming on, as well as watching the video. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Y'all stay safe, and stay tuned, y'all.
Ooh, that might cost you. Yeah, okay.
I got time.
So, the main band I played with back home, I joined them 92. It's about 92 or 93. Jesus, I'm old. It's a band called Psycho Babe. And this is Cameron Samantha is the guitarist and the singer. And we meet up every year in Vegas. At least we did until COVID hit. And then they couldn't get in from the UK. They still live in Scotland. So they used to fly over during the summer, and we'd meet up at least once a year in Vegas. And we'd get a rehearsal studio and stuff while we were down there. Not the normal Vegas stuff, like going to the shows. We did some of that the first couple of years, and then that got old really fast. So we then got into some of the rehearsal spaces and things down there, and we set up a secondary band that was just us. And we did the recording backwards and forth there, and then bits and pieces. But back then, we could have almost made it back then. And I know people say this all the time, but back 94, 95, we were popular enough that the band Texas, who were actually a Scottish band, their A&R guys had heard about us because we were doing all of the local scenes, all of the bigger venues, some of the, as I said before, some of the open air festivals. And they had decided to turn up to one of our shows one night. And we'd heard about it, so we were all hyped. It's like, okay, this maybe work. Because up until that point, we'd been doing it just for the sake of playing music. Because there was no money in it for your local band. Nobody was paying your local band to come and play at the club. In some instances, we had to pay. It's like, here's a batch of tickets, go sell that. You sell that, anything we make after that is yours. Well, that's brilliant. So anyway, we turn up to this gig. We get loaded in, set up, get a sound check done, and then all of a sudden it dawns on us, the bass player's missing. And Cameron Samantha, if you're watching this, I know you don't like talking about this one, but it's me, so I don't give a shit. The bass player isn't at the venue. So we start making phone calls, which back in the 90s, your cell phone was the size of a goddamn A4 binder, and it had the range of about 200 feet. So anyway, we're trying to get hold of this guy, and his phone's just completely dead. Long story short, he had apparently had a nervous breakdown and couldn't handle the pressure. So he just didn't show up to the show. And we found that out about 2 weeks later, after he finally decided to get back in contact with somebody. Of course, it wasn't me, because I wanted to kick shit at him. But, so yeah, he had his nervous breakdown. So there's the three of us there in this packed pub with these A&R people trying to pull off a show. Cameron's got the electric guitar. I've got a full acoustic drum set with just sticks, no brushes, none of that crap. It was supposed to be a rock show. And we're trying to pull this off with just an electric guitar, the drums, and a singer. Needless to say, it sounded not the best we've ever sounded, because we just couldn't pull it off. And after that, I guess we kind of took a hiatus, because that really kicked us in the teeth. So yeah, that was probably the biggest highlight of my drumming career, as far as that goes. I mean, you get other stories, like in one of the other pubs we used to play, same band, Samantha had decided one night in a show to get up on top of a table. And she's singing and dancing as she does. She walks up in tables, she walks up in bar counters and runs up and down and all sorts of stuff. So we're sitting playing, laughing like hell, watching her. And this one night, she picked a table. And Cameron and I started watching each other, because we were watching Samantha jump up and down on this table. And I don't know if she had noticed the big-ass ceiling fan right above her head.
Oh, jeez.
And, of course, she jumps up, and I guarantee she was half an inch away from this ceiling fan. And I think it just clipped the back of her hair, and she kind of felt it going. And then she's still singing. Faces went drained white, but she's still singing and getting on with it. And it's like, holy shit. Yeah, that's good.